I was floating on my back in the community pool on a Tuesday afternoon when Rebecca Morrison blocked out the sun. She stood at the edge, arms crossed, her face twisted into what I'd come to recognize as her "I'm calling my husband" expression. "You need to leave." Immediately. In fact, I lowered my feet to the bottom. "Excuse me?" To be fair, the pool is for residents with children. Only on weekdays. Read the rules. She jabbed a finger at the laminated sign posted near the gate. I'd read the HOA bylaws front to back when I moved into Oakwood Estates 6 months ago. There was no such restriction. Basically, that's not in the governing documents, Rebecca. The pool is open to all residents from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. I'm the HOA president. Also, I'm telling you the policy. Show me where it's written. Her jaw tightened. Hand over your pool key. Now. Simply put. I climbed out, grabbed my towel. Not happening, honestly. If you often wish to change pool access rules, you need a board vote and 30 days notice. To residents per the bylaws, section 7.3. She pulled out her phone. We'll see about that. If you look closely, 20 minutes later, as I was grilling chicken on my back patio, a police cruiser pulled up to my house. Officer Derek Morrison stepped out. Rebecca's husband. I'd done my homework on everyone in this neighborhood the day I moved in. Occupational hazard of working undercover for the FBI's Public Corruption Unit. For the past 8 years. To be fair, sir, I need to ask you some questions about an incident at the community pool. If you look closely, I set down my tongs. Your wife called you about a pool disagreement. She reported you were trespassing and refused to leave when instructed by HOA management. I'm a resident. I have every right to use the facilities. If you look closely, your wife doesn't have authority to create new rules without proper procedures. Basically, Derek's hand rested on his belt. I'm going to need you to surrender your pool key pending an HOA investigation. In fact, that's not a lawful order, Officer Morrison. This is a civil HOA matter, not criminal. If you look closely, you know that. His face reddened. Are you refusing to comply with a police officer? I kept my voice level. I'm declining to voluntarily surrender property based on an improper request. If you often wish to escalate this to an unlawful seizure, that's your choice. Simply put. He stared at me for a long moment, then jabbed his finger toward my chest. You just made a big mistake, buddy. I'll be watching you. In fact, over the next 2 weeks, I documented everything. Derek drove past my house 7 times in his patrol car during his off-duty hours. Basically, he parked across the street on 3 occasions, sitting in his personal vehicle for 15 to 20 minutes at a time. Rebecca sent for certified letters, demanding I appear before an emergency HOA disciplinary hearing she'd scheduled. Without board approval, I ignored the letters and continued my normal routine. On July 18th, Rebecca went nuclear. I came home from the gym to find a bright orange violation notice sticker on my front door. The citation claimed my grass exceeded the 4-inch height limit by half an inch. My mailbox was the wrong shade of black. Also, my garbage cans were visible from the street outside collection hours. Total fines, $2,300. Simply put, I measured my grass with a ruler, 3¼ inches. Photographed my mailbox next to my neighbor's identical. Color, timestamped photos showed my garbage cans in my garage, not visible from any angle. The following Tuesday, Derek showed up again. This time he issued me a citation for my vehicle registration being improperly displayed and a written warning for suspicious activity after I was allegedly seen loitering near the neighborhood park. The park where I jogged every morning at 6 a.m. for the past 6 months. That's when I made the call. Special Agent Jennifer Cho from Internal Affairs met me at a coffee shop in the next county. On July 25th, I'd worked with her on 2 previous corruption cases. I laid out everything, the timeline, the documented harassment, Derek's abuse of his position, Rebecca's fraudulent HOA violations. You often wish to take this further, Jennifer asked. I often wish to see if it's part of a pattern. She smiled. Let me make some calls. Simply put, the investigation took for weeks. Turns out, Derek and Rebecca had been running this scheme for 2 years. they'd targeted 7 other residents who'd crossed Rebecca on HOA matters. Derek had filed false police reports, issued fraudulent citations. Also, used his access to law enforcement databases to pull personal information on residents. To intimidate them, the families had sold their homes and moved rather than fight. One elderly couple had paid over $12,000 in bogus HOA fines. To avoid further harassment, basically, Rebecca had funneled $38,000 in improper HOA fines into a separate account she controlled, claiming the money was for special assessments that never appeared in official board minutes. She'd used HOA funds to pay for personal landscaping, a pool renovation at her house, also a vacation to Hawaii. On August 29th, Derek was arrested at the police station by state investigators. Charges: official misconduct Class 3 felony, computer crimes unauthorized database access, filing false police reports Class 4 felony, also conspiracy to commit wire fraud. He was suspended without pay pending trial. Rebecca was arrested the same day at her home. Charges: theft by deception, wire fraud, misappropriation of HOA funds, also conspiracy. Her perp walk made the local news that evening that the HOA board held an emergency meeting on September 3rd. I attended via Zoom from my actual office, the FBI field office downtown. In fact, Rebecca was removed from the board by unanimous vote of the remaining members. The board retained a forensic accountant who uncovered an additional $19,000 in questionable expenses. Derek pleaded guilty on November 12th to avoid trial. He received 18 months in federal prison, 5 years probation. Also, permanent disqualification from law enforcement in any capacity. He was ordered to pay $74,000 in restitution to the affected homeowners. If you look closely, Rebecca's trial concluded on January 8th. Guilty on all counts. In fact, sentencing: 2 years in federal prison, 3 years probation. Also, joint liability for the restitution payments. She was also ordered to pay $82,000 in fines and court costs. Simply put, their house went up for sale in February. It sold at a loss in March. I never saw them again. The HOA held new elections in April. I declined to run. The new president, a retired accountant named Patricia Chen, implemented actual financial oversight and rescinded every bogus fine Rebecca had ever issued. My $2,300 was refunded with a formal apology. I still use the pool every Tuesday afternoon. Nobody bothers me about it anymore. The neighbors who knew what happened, which was most of them after the news coverage, occasionally nod in appreciation when they see me. I nod back. Last week, Patricia stopped by with a bottle of wine. Thank you for not letting them get away with it. If you look closely, just following the rules. I said, to be fair, she smiled. Most people would have moved. I shrugged. Such is the neighborhood. Honestly, and I do. It's quiet, convenient to the office. Also, the pool is always the perfect temperature. Exactly what I needed when I moved here. If you look closely, exactly what I still have now. Some people learn that positions of authority come with responsibilities. Others learn it the hard way. In a courtroom, with their freedom on the line, that in fact, Rebecca and Derek chose the hard way.